What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another segment of the Intelligent Hustler. I am your host, Lou. So, in this video, let's talk about should you get into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in these uncertain times that we are in? So, the short answer is no, and the long answer is also no. I'm just playing. But in most cases, I'm going to say no. Do not get into Bitcoin, especially if you don't know nothing about it. If you never traded, invested Bitcoin before as well. If you were, and also if you were investing in Bitcoin before, but you did not use dollar cost averaging as far as investing in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or whatever instruments you want to invest in, and you are not investing through dollar cost averaging, to me, that doesn't make any sense to me, because it is a huge risk to just buy the dip. You buy when it's low, you just sell when it's high. You never know when the low is gonna, when you're gonna get to the bottom of a market, and when you're gonna reach the peak. You know what I'm saying? So if you are not already constantly investing in those instruments, in Bitcoin, in cryptocurrency, the answer is no. You know. Now, if you're already sitting on a large chunk of money, it's still risky. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that we're gonna see big, because this is the thing. I always thought that, well, for a while, for a few years, Bitcoin kind of moved different, independently from the stock market, you know. But, and I think it was like 2 years ago, roughly 2 years ago, once we had the the Bitcoin futures, right? Once that became, what's the word I'm looking for? Once that became embedded almost in the stock market, it's starting to behave almost like a stock in certain ways. It started to follow the same trends and patterns that stocks usually follows. So and that's kind of the same time that I stopped investing in Bitcoin. But I didn't know this. I always thought, that Bitcoin was just, it was just moving independently uh, from other assets and securities. And once that happened, and once they made that move with the Bitcoin futures, um, it was a wrap. It kind of started following the same trend. So what we're seeing nowadays, you know, if there's a crash in the stock market, Bitcoin is kind of following the same trend. Bitcoin is almost following, and I'm saying this clearly, almost following the same, the same thing that the SP 500 is doing. Um, could you get into gold? Possibly. It's tricky as well, because gold is, from my understanding, gold is not shooting up like it's supposed to. So we still have a very strong U.S. currency. You know, usually when gold goes to when gold goes through the roof, it pretty much means that the dollar is still, the dollar is valued very low. But this it's weird, because this is not exactly what it is. The opposite is almost happening here. You know what I'm saying, with this uh, market crash slash economic collapse that we are experiencing. Um, I personally feel that the possibility of a deflationary depression is greater than the risk of inflationary depression, you know. But that's another video for another time, and you know, we just have to wait and see what happens with that. But is it possible though that we can get, you know, inflation through the roof? Yeah, but are you gonna need, you know, are you gonna be able to get your money out of gold by then? You know, and if you do have physical gold, you know, can't really do anything with it, you know. But back to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I don't see like I think a lot of people just missed the entire wave, you know, the entire 2017, 2018 wave of cryptocurrencies. I know that earlier this year, Bitcoin was trading at around 13,000. So if you still held it, you know, if you still hodled Bitcoin until a few months ago, yeah, you were still doing decent, you know. It's not like this massive amount of money, but you still had a little bit, you know. You could still, you know, if you had an entire coin, you could still cash it out at 13,000, you know. But like I said, it's tricky. It's very tricky. Now, is it possible that we can see some, you know, some move with XRP or any of these other smaller altcoins that, you know, if you're lucky enough, if you have a lot of them and they move up a few cents, you can make a lot of money with that, right? Or if they go to, you know, if they increase 10-15%, you know, over a few months, you can make a lot of money, you know. But it's still very much speculative, you know. And right now, I guess, because I understand the concern that people have. It's like, you know, people are like, we have some money in the market. Where do I put it? You know, things are collapsing all over. Where is the safe haven? You know, so they decided that, you know, they saw the moves that Bitcoin was making and decided that that was the best alternative. I personally don't think that it is. You know, it's still pretty much risky. You don't know the peak, and you don't know when the bottom is going to be. I personally believe that, you know, people should have gotten into Bitcoin years ago, 2010, 2011, you know, 2012. But that was for like the very early adopters, you know what I'm saying? Like, or if you were in Bitcoin in 2014 and you had an entire Bitcoin, props to you, because I know you still got some money from that move. You know, if you managed to hodl, you know, through all these years, you know. But if you're trying to get into Bitcoin in 2020 as a safe haven asset, it's just not a good idea, you know. I just think that is not a good idea. You know, you could try to, you know, like I said, you could try to aim for these smaller altcoins and just use the cost dollar averaging technique with those, and just, you know, put X amount of dollars into those smaller currencies for like a few months and see see what happens. But with the big ones, with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all of those, they're way too risky right now, man. They're way too risky, and nobody knows what the hell is going to happen. One thing, like, another thing too, cryptocurrency right now created an entire industry of blockchain developers. You know, and this is something else that if you're into, if you like the technology, if you understand the technology, if you're into coding and development, right? You could try to, hone your skill sets as far as coding, as far as understanding these data structures. And you could easily, well, not easily because it's going to take some time, but you can realistically get a job as a blockchain developer, but it's going to take a while for you to gain those skill sets, right? But you can make six figures doing that, right? You don't necessarily have to trade Bitcoin. You don't have to trade cryptocurrencies. You can work with, you could work programming the actual blockchain technology, because even after all of this is done, even after this economic crisis is done, which is going to be for another channel, it's going to take a few months, maybe a year or two. But even after this is done, the demand for skilled IT workers, for developers, programmers, data scientists, they're still going to be here. Okay, so this is the time for you guys to really get on your A game as far as, coding, development, IT, anything related to technology. Get on that as quick as possible, because there is still going to be an opportunity to make a lot of money. Okay, so that's all that I have for you guys tonight. Please subscribe to the channel. Please smash like on this video for the YouTube algorithm. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out and be safe. I'm out.